Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd share some stories about what it was like being in cadets. Now, I'm not saying that being in cadets isn't good. I think it's a great program and it gives a lot of opportunities to young people. But when you don't necessarily want to join, it's not the most fun experience. I was 13 when my parents enrolled me in Air Cadets. And it was kind of this thing, like my dad was in it because he wanted to become a pilot. My, aunts, cousins, and grandpa, grandma, like everyone was in it. So it was kind of just the thing you did. And I remember day one of going there, you had to tuck in your shirts, which wasn't really a thing you did in the early 2000s when I joined, mid 2000s. What year did I join? 2006, 7? Stayed in it for a year and a half. Anyway, yeah, they made us tuck in our shirts, and I remember being so self-conscious because I was extremely, like any teen, really self-conscious about things. I had to tie my hair up into a bun. We could only refer to each other by our last names, which was so weird to me. And I was just terrified because, I'm generally more of a skittish person. I get intimidated quite easily. So with all these adults and serious teenagers marching around in their uniforms, saying my last name and everything, I was like, ah! So we learned all the basic marching stuff, how to stand at attention, at ease. Forget the other ones. How to salute properly, if I remember correctly. Middle finger to the edge of your eyebrow, tilted slightly, make sure your elbow's up, and only salute to ranks that require it, which again, I forget what those ones are. The guys had to keep their haircut 2 or something, 3 inches above their ear and all this stuff. Girls, we had to gel back the hair into a bun and then put a hairnet on the bun. I hated it. And you could only have silver studs. If anyone had any other piercings, you had to put a band-aid over it.
Because we don't like originality.
And they teach you good and interesting things like leadership and speech skills. I remember I hated public speaking as a kid. It was my number one biggest fear. I remember this song. I'll put a little clip in now.
I hate public speaking. Suddenly I'm someone I don't know.
And that was exactly how I felt about it. So they made me go up there and, okay, here's your topic. Now you have to talk about it for a minute. Now I'm doing it voluntarily. It was kind of cool because as Air Cadets, I grew up with my dad being a pilot, so I always heard a lot about planes. We got to spend some days gliding, and I don't know, hindsight, this is terrifying, but so you have the plane and then it's hooked to a tow plane, and the tow plane is powered so it can, fly and get both the planes flying, and then when you're up there, it'll drop the tow line so then the glider can glide back down. They had me hook up the tow plane to the glider, and then I had to go and do these hand signal things to tell the pilots okay, flaps up or something, engine on, go, something like that. And I remember once I was kind of messing up because I was getting confused about the signals I was being shown, and they were yelling, "What is she doing?" And I'm like, people are gonna die. But it was fun, although we were out there for 8 hours, and I think I forgot to put on sunscreen, so my face was utterly burnt. Also, I was never too good with, you had to polish your boots and iron your uniform and all that. Since I didn't want to be in there, it was never quite up to the best standards. And my cousin, who was one of the flight leaders, I forget all the proper terms, sorry. They did inspection every week of your uniform and kept smirking at me going, "Your shoes aren't shiny enough." I was like, shut up. Didn't say that, of course. I would have been heavily docked for that. Then I signed up for the marksman club because I thought it'd be kind of cool to learn how to shoot a pellet rifle. I got alright. I did alright. I only ever joined in one competition thing, but I didn't actually qualify to be on the team. I just got to be like the swing kind of thing, but I got to shoot, so. Ow. Legs are falling asleep because I have to kind of kneel to be tall enough to be on the camera. But for some reason, because you had to keep your hair out of your face, and I was so self-conscious about like bobby pinning my bangs back or having my bangs back at all because I thought I had a big forehead. So I wore a toque, which can be cool, fashion-wise, but the one I chose was not cool.
No, 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 no.
I also thought it would be fun to join band because I always liked the flute, and I thought that would be a cool instrument to learn, but they gave it to me, and I could not make sound. And they took me to the basement where the band was, gave me a sheet of music. I told them I didn't know how to read music, and they just said, "Okay, go. We're playing O Canada at the ceremony next week." I dropped out after that one day because that was terrifying. I also kind of felt like Cadet Kelly in a way that, do you remember that show? That was a good show. I don't know, I just have always been more of an artsy person. I didn't like all the rigid rules, and I remember we had to sell poppies for Remembrance Day, and so we had to stand outside of some stores for hours, and they theoretically wanted us to stand, at attention, respectfully. I was a teenager, standing for hours in front of a store, just being serious. Ugh. What I did, which I don't know if it was disrespectful or not. I didn't mean it to be, but there was, music playing out of the store, so I was dancing along. You know what, I'm just gonna say I raised more money than the other kid did, so. Now, if I thought my home squadron was terrifying, oh boy. So I signed up to go to basic training camp, which was a 2-week camp away from my hometown, and I flew out with a bunch of kids from my squadron. I also remember in the airport that a kid was talking to me about how he watched Mayday the night before. Why would you do that? It was funny, there were some Sea Cadets on the plane that were heading out with us, and they were all terrified. So all us Air Cadets were holding their hands like, it's okay. But we arrived at night at the location, which used to be a type of prison camp back in the old days. It was converted, which is great to know. So we arrived at this place at night, got off the bus, have our duffel bags searched by these teenage boys for the most part, which of course is mortifying as a teenage girl when you have all your period stuff. Don't want anyone to know that you have that. It was kind of like those shows you see about Navy SEAL training, but of course not to that caliber at all, but to little me, it kind of felt like it would be like, come on, come on, come on, go, go, go.
Why are you moving? Why are you moving? Huh?
So we got to our barracks, and it was cadets from all over BC were there. And I don't remember a lot about the first night or like the order of things, but just I remember certain things like, I made my bed. We had to make our beds. I thought I did, decent job.
No.
You had to make it very specifically, and they would inspect it every morning to see if it was made perfectly. And if it wasn't, then you all suck and are the worst people alive. Some of us were so scared to be getting yelled at by these older people that were like, maybe we can sleep on top of the sheets and then we won't mess them up and then it'll be easier. But then they literally yelled at us for that and said, no, you have to sleep under your sheets. They also would patrol for a while before bed to make sure we were in our beds and told us to not have any inappropriate thoughts or dreams. And so we'd wake up really early, go to the canteen for food. You had to have your hat held a certain way under your arm while lining up for food, and you couldn't step on the grass at all. That is the Queen's grass. anytime you were walking around the base, you could not walk if you're outside. You had to march. And if you passed someone of a higher rank than you, you had to address them correctly, like quickly assess what rank they were and address them correctly. But sometimes their tags would be flipped around. So I remember there was one old guy that I passed. Sorry, I'm playing with my hair so much. I think I'm just having flashbacks to when it had to be gelled back like freaking Draco Malfoy. I passed this old guy and his tag was flipped. So I didn't say it quick enough, so he stopped, pivoted, looked at me.
Excuse me, cadet? Why did you not address me properly?
Like, come on, man, I'm just a kid, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, so we'd get our breakfast, and mealtime, it's a reprieve. I remember my dad telling me stories about how he loved cadet camp because he had all the chocolate milk he could want and good food and stuff. And our leaders were all these 18-year-old power-hungry kids. He took a pancake, and he's like, this is how you eat efficiently. You spread butter on both sides of the pancake, roll it up, and you can slide it down. Like, dude, you're sucking the joy out of eating too? Come on. And on parade, so like if you're all having to stand at attention while people are talking, you had to stand at attention. If you moved your eyes, screamed at. If you yawned, for whatever reason, it's disrespectful to yawn on parade, so you have to keep your mouth shut while you do it. I'm sorry, does that look better? And during our drill training, this freaking kid, I'll never forget this. Some of the sergeant or leader kids we had were good, but this one kid, we're like trying to get to know him. We're like,
what's your favorite show?
And he's like,
Drill.
I'm like,
What's your favorite movie?
Drill.
What's your favorite food?
Drill.
it's like, God, Jesus, okay, kid, God. Anyway, we had to march, and then like stamp. He wanted us all to be stamping at the exact same time. And we weren't. So there's this move that you do where you go next to the cadet next to you, put your arm up on their shoulder like this, and then move out and away, and then you're equally distance from each other. To discipline us, essentially torture us, he had us do, hold the arm out, but not on the shoulder, so it was like free floating, and hold it there. No dipping down until he said 5 minutes sometimes. Oh my God. So me and a few of the other girls would cry every night. And I called my parents and I was just sobbing on the phone. I was like,
why did you send me here? I hate it.
And I remember the drill obsessed kid came up to me and he's like,
you don't seem to be enjoying yourself. This is going to go really fast and you need to appreciate it.
I'm like,
I want it to go fast. I hate it here.
But then my parents, trying to make things better, made it worse because before we went to camp, they showed us, footage of, some of the officers can, be careful if they try to lure you away from everyone else. They could take advantage of you, that kind of stuff. But after I phoned my parents, they called and, were complaining to the officers. So one of them came up to me while my squad was going somewhere and said, like, come with us, and led me out into the trees. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening.
Like, we hear that you're not having a good time, and
I was ready to kill my parents. And every night, when you think, oh, cool, we can relax or something. No, you're polishing your boots and ironing your clothes every day, every night. Finally, by the second week, though, I just started to get used to it and be a little less scared, and started saying whatever to certain things, and bought ice cream sandwiches and tried to enjoy myself. And me and the girls would sing camp rock songs to ourselves. And we actually, with all the torture, got really good at drill. Our team won. I remember how satisfying it was when we did a parade and we stomped all at the exact same time. It was beautiful. But let's just say by the end, I was ready to go home. Oh my God. But then let's just say coming back to my home squadron, I was like, things are slack and great here. So I stayed in cadets for another about half year after that, but then I only ever made it up to corporal because they started doing leadership stuff, and I was so terrified of any attention being on me and like hated the idea of anything leadership. So I was like, nope, and just noped out of cadets basically. And I'll never forget going to hand in my wedge, which is what the hat is called. It has to be 3 fingers up and 2 fingers angled on your head, giving the wedge to one of the officers and her just looking at me with disappointment going, why are you doing this?
Because it's not my thing.
I will say though, it really helped me out on my resume for a good couple of years. You know, I learned a lot of stuff and had a lot of experiences. So, and there were so many kids that cadets was like the best thing in their lives and what they had. So I don't mean to badmouth it. It wasn't my cup of tea, and just wanted to share some of the interesting experiences I had. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.